Hey everyone, my name is Mr. Anderson and I am mean to people on the internet. I'm always very polite about it though, I just tend to ask difficult questions and insist on the answers. Now sometimes a guest will just straight up refuse to give you a realistic answer and essentially just deny reality in order to avoid having to admit something that's obvious. And when that happens, it's not necessarily a bad thing from your perspective. I mean, you're not going to be able to move on and make the point that you probably planned on making, but what you do instead is that you just point out to everybody and show the world that they're saying something ridiculous, and then that damages their credibility. And by extension, if somebody is platforming that person and is allowing them to say those ridiculous things on their platform, then they're damaging that platform's credibility. And so it becomes a cautionary tale in saying things that we know are not true and that we know are a little bit silly. And here's a good example of that.
So, John, what you're telling me then, and I just want to make this crystal clear because we can go through piles and piles and piles of documentation that shows that there are different animals at different layers. You know this full well. Both of you know that there is a pattern of simple to complex from the Cambrian to the Cretaceous to the Mesozoic eras to today, that there are different animals found at different depths. Don't tell me that you don't know that. Are you telling me honestly that there's no ordering to the fossil record? Really?
What you find.
Yeah, well, this was kind of like, we know, everybody knows that there's an ordering to the fossil record. Like, I can go through, and we could go through right now, and I could show you videos of Andrew Snelling, who's like the premier creationist geologist with a PhD in geology, who, by the way, maybe I haven't dug very many holes. I have actually found fossils before, but not very many. That's not my expertise.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but it is Andrew Snelling's expertise, and he has a PhD in it, so he knows more about it than John, and he says there's a fossil record. And
as the local rock sequences generally follow the order depicted in that geological column diagram. Now, if the rock layers are real and the order in those rock layers are real, then the order of fossils in those rock layers is real as well. And so what we see on the diagrams does represent the fossils we see in those layers.
And, take your pick. Right?
These guys are,
Dallas says it. Heck, both Hovens say it, right? McCready says it, like standing for truth. Like Donnie says it.
And Dan, I love your answer. I completely agree. Basically the order of the fossils is the burial order of the flood in terms of communities, habitats. And so if the flood with the fountains of the Great Deep started in the ocean, you'd have marine creatures being buried on the continents, followed by your land creatures. And, your humans basically would represent post-flood humans. But
and everybody says that there is an order. It's why is there an order? That's a question.
Yeah, that always gets me, that they stand and just sit there and listen to this over and over and over again. But I'm glad that McKay jumped in there, because he really pushed it to the absurd, right? And Donnie, if you're listening to this, I understand standing for truth, these debates. I mean, it's theater, right? You want interesting people on here, and you want people to be, verbose and talking.
I think that there has to be a balance between, at some point you're damaging your own credibility when you have somebody on and you let them say things that are very ridiculous, that it's like, this is who you're platforming. So, I think there is some degree of discernment. I mean, look, I'm no shrinking violet, and I don't mind a little bit of conflict. And, look, it's good for, like you said, it's good for Donnie's channel. It's good for my channel that, that there's a little bit of feistiness. I don't mind that, but
yeah,
let's have some reality check.
So I hope this makes it clear to you, the audience, and potentially my friends and debate opponents that, you can just deny reality and you can say that up is down and left is right and that the sky is pink purple elephants, but it doesn't help you. It doesn't make you look good, and you will pay a price for it.